2021년 고2 9월 모의고사 듣는 지문으로 하나 활용해 보시라고 평상시에 공부하실 때나 혹은 이제 시간이 없을 때 버스 안에서나 혹은 그건 이제 자유 본인의 의지에 맡겨서 쓰는 용이지만 제일 추천드리는 것은 뭐냐면 들으시면서 자신이 해석이 정확히 되고 있는지 이것을 이제 참고하시면서 보면 좋을 것 같고 읽을 때 어디에서 문제에서 끊어서 읽는지도 살짝 판별해 보시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 1번부터 18번 문제죠. 1번부터 진행하도록 하겠습니다. Dear parents and students of Douglas School, as you know, our school was built over 150 years ago. While we are proud of our school's history, the facilities are not exactly what they should be for modern schooling. Thanks to a generation donation to the school foundation, we will be able to start renovating those parts of our campus that have become outdated. We hope this will help provide our students with the best education possible. I'm writing to inform you that the auditorium will be the first building closed for repairs. Students will not be able to use the auditorium for about 1 month while the repairs are taking place. We hope that you will understand how this brief inconvenience will encourage community-wide benefits for years to come. Sincerely, Vice Principal blah blah. 네. 자, 19번 한번 넘어가 보도록 할게요. 1번부터 진행하겠습니다. Evan's eyes opened wide and his mouth made the shape of an O, which happened whenever something surprised him. You don't mean we are leaving Sydney? He asked. His mother had just told him that they were leaving Sydney for his father's work. But what about school? Said Evan, interrupting her, a thing he knew he was not supposed to do, but which he felt he would be forgiven for on this occasion. And what about Carl and Daniel and Martin? How will they know where I am when we want to do things together? His mother told him that he would have to say goodbye to his friends for the time being, but that she was sure Evan would see them again. Say goodbye to them? Say goodbye to them? He kept repeating himself, sounding more and more anxious with every repetition. 20번으로 넘어가겠습니다. Without guidance from their teachers, students will not embark on a journey of personal development that recognizes the value of cooperation. Left to their own devices, they will instinctively become increasingly competitive with each other. They will compare scores, reports, and feedback within the classroom environments, just as they do in the sporting arena. We don't need to teach our students about winners and losers. The playground and the media do that for them. However, we do need to teach them that there is more to life than winning and about the skills they need for successful cooperation. A group working together successfully requires individuals with a multitude of social skills as well as a high level of interpersonal awareness. While some students inherently bring a natural understanding of these skills with them, they are always in the minority. To bring cooperation between peers into your classroom, you need to teach these skills consciously and carefully, and nurture them continuously throughout the school years. 자, 21번 넘어가겠습니다. The creative team exhibits paradoxical characteristics. It shows tendencies of thought and action that we'd assume to be mutually exclusive or contradictory. For example, to do its best work, a team needs deep knowledge of subjects relevant to the problem it's trying to solve and a mastery of the processes involved. But at the same time, the team needs fresh perspectives that are unencumbered by the prevailing wisdom or established ways of doing things. Often called a beginner's mind, this is the newcomer's perspective. People who are curious, even playful, and willing to ask anything, no matter how naive the question may seem, because they don't know what they don't know. Thus, bringing together contradictory characteristics can accelerate the process of new ideas. 22번 넘어가겠습니다. Too many officials in troubled cities wrongly imagine that they can lead their city back to its former glories with some massive construction project, a new stadium or light rail system, a convention center, or a housing project. With a very few exceptions, No public policy can slow the tidal forces of urban change. We must 우리 여기는 이제 mustn'이라고 읽어도 되고요. We must not ignore the needs of the poor people who live in the Rust Belt, but public policy should help poor people, not poor places. Shiny new real estate may dress up a declining city, but it doesn't solve its underlying problems. The hallmark of declining cities is that they have too much housing and infrastructure relative to the strength of their economies. With all that supply of a structure and so little demand, it makes no sense to use public money to build more supply. The folly of a building-centric urban renewal reminds us that cities aren't structures, cities are people. 23번으로 넘어가겠습니다. Many marine species including oysters, marsh grasses, and fish were deliberately introduced for food or for erosion control, with a little knowledge of the impacts they could have. Fish and shellfish have been intentionally introduced all over the world for aquaculture, providing food and jobs, but they can escape and become a threat to native species, ecosystem function, and or livelihoods. Atlantic salmon are reared in ocean net pens in Washington State and British Columbia. Many escape each year, and they have been recovered in both saltwater and freshwater in Washington State, British Columbia, and Alaska. Recreational fishing can also spread invasive species. Baitworms from Maine are popular throughout the country. They are commonly packed in seaweed, which contains many other organisms. If the seaweed is discarded, it or organisms on it can colonize new areas. Fishing boats, recreational boats, and trailers can pick up organisms at one location and move them elsewhere. 24번으로 넘어가겠습니다. Before the fancy high-rises, financial headquarters, tourist centers, and souvenir peddlers made their way to Battery Park City, the area behind the World Trade Center was a giant gross landfill. In 1982, artist Agnes decided to return that landfill back to its roots, although temporarily. Dennis was commissioned by the Public Art Fund to create one of the most significant and fantastical pieces of public work Manhattan has ever seen. Her concept was not a traditional sculpture, but a living installation that changed the way the public looked at art. In the name of art, Dennis put a beautiful golden wheat field right in the shadow of gleaming twin towers. For Wheatfield, a confrontation, Dennis and the volunteers removed trash from 4 acres of land, then planted amber waves of grain atop the area. After months of farming and irrigation, the wheat field was thriving and ready. The artist and her volunteers harvested thousands of pounds of wheat to give to food banks in the city, nourishing both the minds and bodies of the New Yorkers. 자, 이후에는요, 이제 본문 도표 25번 생략하겠고요. 그리고 26번으로 넘어가도록 하겠습니다. Patricia Bess spent her life advocating for eye health. Born in 1942, she was raised in the Harlem area of New York City. She graduated from Howard University's College of Medicine in 1968. It was during her time as a medical intern that she saw that many poor people and black people were becoming blind because of the lack of eye care. She decided to concentrate on ophthalmology, which is the branch of medicine that works with eye disease and disorders. As her career progressed, Bess taught students in medical schools and trained other doctors. In 1976, she co-founded the American Institute for Prevention of Blindness with the basic principle that eyesight is a basic human right. In the 1980s, Beth began researching the use of lasers in eye treatments. Her research led to her becoming the first African-American female doctor to receive a patent for a medical device. 27번 안내문이고요. 28번도 안내문이기 때문에 넘어가도록 하겠습니다. 29번 보겠습니다. Organisms living in the deep sea have adapted to the high pressure by storing water in their bodies, some consisting almost entirely of water. Most deep sea organisms lack gas bladders. They are cold-blooded organisms that adjust their body temperature to their environment, allowing them to survive in the cold water while maintaining a low metabolism. Many species lower their metabolism so much that they are able to survive without food for long periods of time, as finding the sparse food that is available expends a lot of energy. Many predatory fish of the deep sea are equipped with enormous mouths and sharp teeth, enabling them to hold on to prey and overpower it. Some predators hunting in the residual light zone of the ocean have excellent visual capabilities, while others are able to create their own light to attract prey or a mating partner. mating partner 하시면 됩니다. 예. 자, 그래서 우리가 29번까지 해서 이렇게 끝내봤는데요. 30번서부터 45번은 이 이후 강의 영상 보시고 들어보셨으면 좋겠습니다. 고생하셨습니다.